Hi friends, my name is James Hardy with One Love Yoga. I'm coming at you from Salt Lake City, Utah, and today I'm going to be leading a 60-minute power yoga class. Props you might need. I'm sitting on the edge of a blanket right now, and then I also recommend having some type of a strap. This could just be a belt in your house. Doesn't have to be anything big, but I've just got the strap that goes around my yoga mat when I do it up. And then I do have a yoga block. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. You'll be just fine. And then before we get going, I just want to talk for a minute about the way that meditation changed my yoga class, my yoga practice. So I've been practicing yoga for maybe about a year, and then I started getting into meditation. And for me, the meditation I would do is I would find a comfortable cross-legged position, and then I would sit and just do Ujjayi breathing, really deep and really slow. And the transformation for me was just really simple, just this click, where I really got into doing these meditations. I'd be in them for maybe like 15 or 30 minutes and really started to feel the effects of just sitting and breathing and watching my mind. You travel all over the place and then come back again and come back again. But just that ability to sit with myself, to sit with what was going on at the time was fantastic. So when I started going back into my yoga practice, I had this really simple click where I'd been hearing it the whole time from my yoga instructor saying, follow your breath, use your inhales, use your exhales. But there was something about just sitting and breathing and really having that deep relationship with just the breath by itself without any movement, just sitting, that when I came back to the practice and I started using that kind of, relationship to my breath, where things just really clicked and changed, and I just realized the way that our physical yoga practice, the asana yoga practice, the power yoga practice, restore, or whatever it is that you do, can really be transformed when we let it become a meditation. That it is just as much about you focusing on your breath and letting your breath draw you into the present moment, present experience, as it is about you being in the physical postures, finding your alignment, feeling into the movement. So with that being said, we're going to begin. I want you to find a comfortable cross-legged position. Again, I'm up on the edge of my blanket, so you're welcome to put yourself up there. And if a cross-legged position is not comfy for you, no worries. You could start out on your back or anywhere that does feel good. Close your eyes, and on an inhale, draw your shoulder heads up towards your ears. And as you exhale, just roll your shoulder heads down away from the ears and the back. Let's take that again. So inhale, draw your shoulder heads high up towards your ears. And on your exhale, just release the ears down away from the back. Last time. Inhale, shoulder heads up high. Exhale, release them down. Just relax your hands where it feels comfortable. Feel the shoulder heads release down away from the ears on the back, chest nice and open. Then we'll get into our Ujjayi breathing. And first, before we do Ujjayi breathing, we'll do a 3-part breath, which is called Dirgha Swasam Pranayama in Sanskrit. So to do this breath, just release all the way out to empty. Breathe into your low belly for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Breathe into your mid-abdomen for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Fill all the way up to the chest, all the way to the shoulders. Once you've got your full breath, just relax. And then exhale slowly, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. At the end, let your navel gently tone to spine and empty. And then we'll do that again. So breathe into low belly, low back, 1, 2, 3, and pause. Breathe into your mid-abdomen, your mid-back, 1, 2, 3, hold there. Fill all the way to the chest, all the way to the shoulders. Once you've got the full breath, again, relax around it. And then take that slow exhale, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. As you come to the end, let your navel gently tone back into the spine, finding that navel lock, Uddiyana Bandha. And then we can begin Ujjayi breathing. So inhale through the nose like you're sipping the air in through a straw, slow and deep from the bottom, through the middle, all the way up to the top. And on the exhale, just slowly release the air back out through your nose as if you were fogging up a mirror, slowly letting it come all the way back down to empty. So the business with sipping in through a straw and fogging up a mirror on the exhale, this is where the muscles in the back of your throat are constricting. And they're narrowing how you pull the air in and how you release the air out. And it concentrates the breath. It helps us to do it nice and slow, nice and deep. And then a byproduct of that is that you are going to create a sound with Ujjayi pranayama, with this breathing. And the sound, some compare it to ocean waves. Hollow wind is a really good comparison as well. So I'll just take this a couple times with you and then we'll add some movement. As always, friends, let your breath be your guide for your practice. Let it lead us into the meditative aspects of this practice. Make it a meditation. And then just take what works for me and leave the rest behind. Let's blink the eyes open to a soft gaze up front. On the inhale, just lengthen your arms wide, reach up tall. And as you exhale, bring your hands together and draw them down into the heart center, right in front of the sternum. Let's do that again. Inhale, arms wide and tall. Exhale, hands down into the heart center. One more time. Inhale, reach up wide and tall. Exhale, bring your hands down to your heart center. Beautiful. We're going to move into Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose or cobbler's pose. So if you're on a prop, let's just slide it out of the way. Bring your sit bones right down to the ground. And then bottoms of the feet come together so your legs create a diamond shape. Walk your sit bones back a little bit so you find the front edge or pull the flesh away from them. You can determine how close or far away the heels are from the groin. And then just grabbing onto your shins, inhale to lengthen the spine up. And on the exhale, hinge out from your hips and dive your sternum down towards your big toes. And we're just going to take it breath by breath. So part of this pose with your spine is that you're reaching forward out from your hips. Again, that's drawing your sternum towards your big toes. The other part is that you are allowing the head to gently come forward and down. So taking a little bit of that forward fold aspect. And then we're opening through the hips here. Your elbows might even give a gentle press or just rest to the inside of the calves. And then you just get to go with the breathing. Your hands could be to your shins, to your feet, to your toes, or just to the floor in front of you. And you can just feel your body just gently releasing a little bit deeper at a time into this breath, or into this pose with every round of breath. Nice, we're on to the last couple rounds of breath here. As you get to the end of your breath, just vertebrae by vertebrae, roll yourself back up, and then make your way forward into a tabletop position. And as you come forward into your tabletop, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to warm up the wrists and the palms and the fingers. So from your tabletop, you'll point the insides of your wrists towards the top of your mat. Your palms are down, fingers are pointing backwards, and your thumbs are to the side of the room. So down to your mat, your hands are making this shape. Stay with the breathing and start to lean back and peel the hands all the way back up to your fingertips, and then slowly roll back forward. So just massaging out the fingers and massaging out the palm. We'll do this a couple more times. Finding your breath as you lean back and peel back the hands, and then roll back forward. Excellent. And then take the back of your hands to the mat. Your fingers could face in towards one another, or the fingers could point to the back of the room, but just lightly pressing the back of the hands down to the ground, and maybe just giving some side to side or some back and forth movement. Sit back into hero's pose, so tops of the feet are to the ground, knees are together, sit bones back to your heels, and take a moment and just roll out your wrists. Give some movement through your fingers. Right on. Come back into your tabletop. And then from here, we'll start to extend the left leg backwards in space and the right arm forwards. And pretend you're pressing your left heel to the wall back behind you, like you could actually press it into the wall. Toes are pointing down, and as you reach your right arm forward, we can take the pinky down and the thumb up so that your bicep just does this little inward spin to center, hugging into center line. And as you breathe at the extension, we want to feel that little bit of hugging towards center as we extend out through the limbs. Breathe into extension, and on your next exhale, just round, bringing the elbow, knee in, round the back. Inhale opens you back up. And on the exhale, elbow, knee, come in, round the back. One more time like that. Inhale, open back up. Exhale, round in. Take another inhale to open back up in space. You can stay right here, or we can take this to a bind, so bending the back knee, bringing the heel to the sit bone, and then reaching the right hand for the inside edge of that left foot. Your fingers have the top. And then you find this balance between kicking and pulling that ends up, your arm gets pulled back in space, your foot is kicking against the hand, and then we're pulling that leg forward at the same time. And that balance of kicking and pulling, we get a little bit of a lift up to the chest, a little bit of a lift up to the back knee, and then just nice natural length out the back of your neck. Take one more breath into it. And on your exhale, open back up, re-extend. Awesome. Come down to that tabletop position. And then we'll take the weight into the right hand and then just turn the right toes off the right side of your mat and reach the left leg to the back of the mat. So you're balancing on your right hand, right knee, and right toes. And left foot's behind you. Draw your left arm up nice and tall. Breathe into that length. And then on your exhale, you'll just reach your left arm forward in space, lengthening through your side body. And for the first couple rounds of breath, the left foot is rooted down to the earth. So you're drawing that length. And then when you're ready, we're going to lift the left foot up off the ground, so you're balancing here. You're reaching from the front of the mat to the back, extending. You can stay right here, or there's a really nice bind we can take where you'll bend the left knee, heel to your sit bone, and then reach the left hand back for the top of the foot. Gently kick the foot into the hand from here, and we start to get this twist open, so the chest is slightly shining up to the sky. Gaze can slightly come up. Stay with your breathing. Nice and strong into that bottom hand, spread into your palm. Not sinking down into the shoulder, lifting away from the earth as you press. And then if you're in this second bind, on an inhale, open up, extend. And as you exhale, come back to tabletop, hands and knees. And then before we do the other side, we're going to find some rounds of cat and cow. So on your inhale, drop your belly. Lift your chest and tailbone, cow. And on the exhale, round the back into cat. Tailbone drops, mid-back high, head comes forward. Just take this at your own pace, friends. You can add any side to side or back and forth movement that feels good to you. And really, there's not a right or wrong way to add your breath to this. So just bring that breath in as it makes sense to you. And then we're linking up the movement to the breath. And so that meditative breath just helps our bodies just to flow, controlled, connected. And then before we do the other side, I'm just going to come back to hero's pose and just take one more little roll out for my wrist. Just take the pressure off him for a minute. Do a little roll out through the fingers and through the hands. Awesome. Come back to tabletop. And then this time we'll start to reach the right leg back behind us in space. And then extend your left arm forward out to the front of the room. And again, think about your heel is pressing back into the wall behind you. Your toes are pointing down. And as you reach that left arm forward, your palm is opened up towards the right wall, pinky down, thumb up. Find that hug into center as you extend and reach out. We'll breathe into the length. And on your next exhale, round the spine, elbow and knee come in. Inhale, extend back out in space, reach through it. Exhale, round the spine, curl in. Last one, inhale, open back up. Exhale, round and bring it in. So as you open back up, friends, you can stay at extension or we find the first bind. So right knee bends, heel to your sit bone. Left hand goes back for the inside arch of the foot. Your fingers have the top. And then again, this balance between kicking and pulling that results in the chest slightly lifting up, back knee slightly lifting up. That length through the back of the neck and that balance between kicking and pulling. Check if you're holding your breath while you're here. I want you to use your breath. Next exhale, just open, re-extend, come down into your tabletop, and then we're going to do the other side. So your left hand stays rooted underneath your shoulder, left knee underneath your hip. Just swivel the left toes off the left side of your mat, and then extend the right leg to the back of your mat. Right arm pulls up in space, breathe in. And on your exhale, just extend those right fingertips forward towards the front of the room. So first couple rounds of breath, you're just lengthening the side body as you press the foot to the ground. We want to watch we're not sinking into this left shoulder. Really active, pressing down to the ground, spread out into the palm of the fingers. Okay, start to lift that right foot up off the ground. Stay with it. If you want the second bind, just bend the knee, bring the heel to your sit bone, slide the hand to the top of the foot, and then gently kick the foot into the hand as you take this little twist open. So your gaze might turn up a little bit. Top shoulder might pull back a little bit, opening through the chest. Also a really nice quadricep stretch for that right quad. Use your breathing. Take an inhale just to open up through the body. And as you exhale, come back down to hands and knees to your tabletop position. And then let's take a few more rounds into cat and cow. Inhaling to open up into our cow. Exhale to round the back into cat. Again, I want you to take this over at your own pace. Move as slow or as fast as you'd like. Nice, friends. Find the last couple rounds of breath here. And then as you wrap up the round of breath that you're on, we'll make our way into downward facing dog. Now you can either just, through your tabletop, tuck your toes and lift your hips back and up in space, or first step back to a plank position. And then once you've got the plank established, you can just shift your hips back up in space. Your toes might come in slightly closer, so balls of the feet might step a little bit closer, But that's pretty much, the distance of your hands to your feet in plank is pretty much what you want in down dog. Start to draw the length down through your heels one at a time, just pressing the right heel towards the earth as you bend your left knee, and then switching it up. We can already spread it out into the palms. Get into the fingertips, find that grip. Biceps can start to tone in towards center line like you're hugging a giant beach ball between the biceps. Weight of the head is released, looking back behind you. And then we'll start to let the hips pull back and up as those heels extend down. Beautiful breathing. Feeling that length in the spine, the strength we're creating in the pose, and the length we're getting to draw down through the back of the legs. Take one more inhale here, and on your next exhale, we're going to step up into a forward fold, so right and left foot can come up. Once you find the forward fold up at the top of your mat, inhale halfway up, lengthening spine. So hands can go to your shins or your thighs. And then on this first one, we're going to hold for a couple rounds of breath just so we can talk about it. There's some bend into my knees right here that's going to get a lot of length through the low back. And then the core muscles are around my low back. For my upper back, I'm going to start to tone the shoulder blades in towards one another, and shoulder heads down away from the ears and the back. Now remember the length through the back of your neck here, chin slightly back to throat. When the next exhale rolls in, just fold it all forward. And then with the feet at hip bone distance, opposite hand to the outside of opposite elbow or bicep, just create a ragdoll frame. Let your body gently sway side to side, or lightly rock back and forth. Weight of the head totally relaxed. You can add any little side to side or back and forth movements through your head, just to remind the weight of it to release down here. Nice. Release your arms out of here. You can have your feet at hip bone distance, or you can walk your big toes to touch with some space between your heels. Your next inhale, we're coming up into chair pose. So I think about with the lower body, it's like a skier tucking down a mountain. Sit bones are back in space. Weight's kind of more back in the heels. But then with your upper body, you're doing a little bit of a bend in your spine, lifting up through the chest. Arms can be opened up or lengthened, rather, with the biceps pulling back to frame your ears, or you could also goal post your arms open as well here. We want to find the strength around the knee joints. So, feel the calves working down to the ground. Feel the thighs wrapping around the knee joints. Feel your hamstrings. Feel the glutes pulling back and up. Then your core engaged around your low back, shoulder blades around the upper back. Your next exhale, just a flying chair. So lift your heels. You're on the balls of the feet. Send your arms back. You can add a little bit of a bend to your elbows so they're lifting up, and then shoulder blades coming in, fingers reaching back. Just that same awesome tone going on through the legs. So we never want to be sinking into the joints. We want to find the engagement of the muscles around the joints. Awesome. Beautiful, friends. On your next exhale, you can just fold this all forward. Take an inhale to lengthen your spine halfway up. And on the exhale, refold. Get your fingertips down to the ground. And you can bend your knees as much as you need to. We'll let the right foot stay rooted here. And then as you're ready, you're going to take the left leg back and up in space. And so all this is a one-legged forward fold with your right foot as your base. You can do fingertips, you can do fists. If your palms are down to the ground, you can do that as well. And then you let the weight of the head release here. So your body, your torso rather, is in a forward fold. Weight of the head relaxed. And then you're pressing down to your fingertips, fists, or palms, as if you could take the body weight onto the fingers, onto the fists, onto the palms. Biceps toned in. Press it down into that right heel, grip down through your toes, and then draw that left leg back and up. This is also known as standing splits. but I prefer the name one-legged standing forward fold. Awesome, friends. One more inhale, lifts up, and on your next exhale, just step the left foot to the back of your mat. So we're in a low lunge position. Might feel nice as you come into this first low lunge position, just to shift a little forwards or a little bit backwards, or draw some little circles with the hips. You could also drop your back knee down, take your sit bone back to your heel, or a little kneeling lunge coming forward, just warming your body up into the shape of that low lunge. Nice, and then come back into the regular low lunge with the back knee lifted. Knife edge of your left foot to the ground. Your heels are already in one line from the front of the mat to the back. We're going to take our rise up into our warrior two. You could do your hands to your hips if you want to start with. My thumbs are just kind of hooked down to my low back. And what we're focusing on here is just lining up that right sit bone underneath the body, right knee above the heel, toes are pointing forward. Hips are on one line with one level here, and then your spine is straight up in space. Feel the press down into both feet, and then the tone of your legs going down to the ground and coming back into center, stabilizing you at center. And then from there, if you have not yet, open your arms up. So right arm extending forward, left arm reaching backwards. You just shoot the gaze out across those right fingertips. And we have a long enough stance that we're really feeling into the lunge part of this and feeling that work that our legs are doing for us. Shoulder heads can release a little bit away from the ears and the back as you just breathe here. Your next exhale, take it to extended side angle pose. So bring your right forearm to your right thigh. Left arm can pull straight up or reach out to a diagonal. You can also reach the right arm down the inside of the right leg, so the back of the fingers are touching the inside of the ankle, elbow touching inside of the knee. And then if your left hip popped up a little bit in space, let your left hip draw back down on level with your right, so you've still got that shape with the legs here. Find your breath. There's a nice lift going on through your inner right side body, away from that right thigh. Beautiful breathing. As you inhale back up to warrior two, we'll straighten out the front right leg in preparation for triangle. Now, if you like to use a block in triangle, and you've got one handy, you can take it on level 1, 2, or 3, just to the outside of your right ankle. Again, if you don't have a block, it'll be just fine. So right leg is straight, arms open up. Let's breathe into it, and then when the exhale comes, reach as far forward as you can, and then hinge down. And you could do right hand to your shin. If you've got the block there, awesome. Right hand to the block. You could do hand inside of ankle or fingertips down to the ground. And then what I love about triangle, we're finding a lot of length in that right leg, right? So you're pressing to your right foot, pulling your hips back in space. And then your spine just becomes this crossbar. So crown of the head reaching forward as hips draw back, opening up through left arm. The shoulder blades are gently toning in towards one another, and gaze is over towards the left side of the room. If that right knee is locked, just find the slightest little micro bend in it where you're engaging the muscles around it. Just really subtle. On the inhale, pull back up into your warrior two, and then we'll reverse the warrior on the exhale. So left hand could come to your hip, or wrap behind you, or to your thigh. Right arm draws up nice and tall. We're still deep into our lunge, and then your gaze could be up where the right hand is going, or to the side of the room, or back down to your left foot behind you, whatever feels best to you. The right arm is really extending straight up in space, and then we can add a little bend to the elbow, take a little bit of that arch. Left ear gets to fall back away from the left shoulder here. And then nice opening through that right side body. Stay with your breathing. Next exhale, just cartwheel your hands down to frame the right foot. We'll turn onto the ball of the left foot to a low lunge position, and then we're going to inhale the right leg back up to a three-legged downward facing dog. So find the full extension of that right leg. So you create a diagonal line from your hands all the way back and up. You can press through your heel or through the ball of the foot. The front of your right hip is pointing down and back. And on your next exhale, shift forward to a plank. You can just go to a down dog from here if you want, or you can keep following me. So from your three-legged plank, we'll start to slowly lower halfway down, press to the tops of both of the feet, inhale, upward facing dog. You could also replace this with a low cobra. If you're an up dog, tops of the feet, palms are to the earth. Hips and legs are off the mat, shoulder heads down away from the ears, shoulder heads toned in towards center. And then from there, you can shift back up, find that downward facing dog. Take a couple rounds of breath in this down dog, friends, working with those inhales, working with those exhales, and finding the engagement. Draw one more breath in, and on the exhale, you can bend the knees and take your step up to your forward fold towards the top of the mat. Inhale brings us halfway up, lengthen your spine, strengthen around it. On that exhale, refold. And then this time in this forward fold, let your fingertips just connect to the ground, feet at hip bone distance. And I want you to pretend that there's a semicircle around the feet from one side that comes all the way in front and connects to the other side. And then start to walk your hands around this semicircle. Again, you can bend your knees as much as you need to. Weight of the head released. Add any side to side or back and forth nod through the head that feels good to you. Start to bring it back to center. And on your next inhale, let's lift up into our chair pose. Dropping those sit bones back in space, weight down to your heels. Again, you could cactus the arms open right here, or you could reach and extend your arms up nice and tall. Stay with that breath, friends. Nice deep inhales and nice long exhales. You got it. For your flying chair, lift the heels off the ground. You're on the balls of the feet. Reach and extend your arms back. Elbows come up nice and tall. Find that tone through your legs. Take one more breath. You're doing great. And your next exhale, just come down to your forward fold. Find a couple rounds of breath in this forward fold, friends. Working with those inhales, working with those exhales. Okay, and then we're going to take standing splits on this side. And again, the name I was using for it, just a one-legged forward, standing forward fold. So left foot is your base, root to your fingertips, and draw your right leg back and up in space. This could be your fingertips, could be your fist, could also be your palms. Weight of the head is released, looking back behind you. And you're just pressing into that left heel, pressing down into the ball of the left foot, feeling the grip of the toes, and then pulling that right leg up. I always need to give my head just a little bit of side-to-side movement, just reminding it to hang heavy here, to be in the forward fold part of this. One more inhale, lifts up. And on the exhale, we're going to come back to our low lunge position, both hands framing the left foot. And this first part is just for you to warm up your low lunge position. So again, you might shift a little forwards or backwards, or circle your hips around. Back knee could touch down. I love that, where you drop your sit bone back to your heel and just lengthen your left leg out. Or a kneeling lunge for a moment. Just warming up the hips, warming up the legs. Make your way back into your low lunge position, back knee lifted. And then to set up the warrior two legs before we even lift, knife edge of the right foot to the ground. Your heels are in one line from the front of the mat to the back. There's a nice long stance. And then open up. And again, you can open your arms directly into that forwards and backwards. I'm going to start with my hands to my hips. And just, open up a little longer. Dial that left sit bone underneath the heel, or the left sit bone underneath the body. Left knee underneath the heel, left toes pointing forward. And then find your breath, friends. If you have not opened your arms yet up, let's open the arms up. Feel the press down into your feet, the tone of the legs into the floor, and then hugging back to center, coming up and in. Spine nice and tall, and just that opening through the chest, shoulder heads down away from the ears as you extend through your arms. On your next exhale, extended side angle pose, so left forearm to left thigh. You can reach your right arm straight up in space, or pull it on a diagonal from your back right leg. Nice lift through your inner left side body. And if your back right hip lifted up in space, drop that right hip on level with your left. Beautiful breathing. We inhale to rise back up to our warrior two. Straighten out your left leg. If you're using a block for triangle, set it to the outside of your left ankle. And then once it's set up, arms extend. With that left leg straight, reach as far forward as you can. And then hinge down and take your left hand to your block, to your shin, hand inside of the ankle or fingertips to the floor. And then lift up through your right arm. Hips draw back in space as you press into your left foot and then tone around that left knee so left leg's nice and engaged. And then the spine is the crossbar, shoulder blades are gently pulling into one another so your full wingspan opens up here. And gaze could be over to the side or might be turning up towards your hand. Find the inhales, find the exhales. Inhale brings us back up to warrior two. And on the exhale, reverse your warrior. So right hand to your hip, thigh, or behind you. Left arm reaches up tall. You can bend the elbow and add that little arch to the arm. Gaze goes up to the side of the room or back down to your right foot. And then stay into your lunge, but really find that strength around the left knee. So you're not just dropping the weight into it. You're fired up through the leg muscles. Right shoulder melts down away from your ear here. And then on the next exhale, cartwheel hands down, a low lunge, turn onto the ball of the right foot. We're reaching the left leg back up to three-legged down dog, pressing through the heel or through the ball of the foot. Front of your left hip bone is pointing down, maybe a little bit back. And then strong through the arms, so we've got that full diagonal, the press into your hands, the lift back up through your left leg. As we shift forward to plank, you might just go directly to down dog and skip this bit. Or once you're in that three-legged plank, we start to exhale halfway to Chaturanga Dandasana. Press to the tops of the feet, inhale up dog. Again, you could also take a low cobra. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, up dog. And then back into our downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Drawing the hips back up nice and tall. Lifting, pulling down through the heels, pressing the hands. And when you're ready, friends, just release down into your tabletop position. Drop one of your hips down to the ground. Your legs can come forward. Great time to grab a sip of water if you'd like. We're going to find Navasana, boat pose. So on the sit bones, just grab your hamstrings and lift your heels off the ground. Lengthen your spine back and up in space. Shoulder blades gently tone in, shoulder heads down away from the ears and the back. You can keep the knees bent, or you can also extend your legs out, pointing up through your toes. Hands could also move away from the grabbing the hamstrings and open up here. Find your breathing. Again, keep reinforcing that length in your spine. You're doing awesome. Almost there. Last round of breath. Release down on that exhale. Awesome. So you'll reach your right leg all the way out in front of you, and then bring the left foot to the inside of your right thigh. You can either hook up the peace sign fingers of your right hand to your big right toe. If you do have a strap or a belt or whatever, you can also wrap that around the bottom of the foot and then take the ends of the strap into your right hand, and you'll be pretty close up within a few inches. Left arm will open back up nice and tall, so full wingspan here. And on your next exhale, bend your right elbow. Start to dive through your left side body. So reach your left arm forward. We're stacking left shoulder over the right, so there's a twist going on here. Gaze is over towards the left side of the room. And then we can let the left leg press down and back, helping the spine to come forward and out from the hips. We can have some activation in the right foot with the heel pressing down and forward, and just feel a little bit of tone through that right leg holding us strong as we reach forward through the left side body. Don't worry about your left arm pulling out of the socket here. Keep it plugged in as you reach. And then with the right elbow bending, you could have it hover, or you could press it down into the top of the shin, inside of the calf, or some folks even just like to take the arm all the way down to the ground. If your left arm is just reaching all the way forward and grabbing your right foot, fantastic. You can have a little bit of a pull there. Otherwise, just like I'm doing, just reaching forward in space. Breathing. And when you're ready on your inhale, you're going to open back up tall. And as you exhale, just draw your hands down into your heart center. Excellent, friends. From here, I'm going to lead us into double pigeon fire log pose. But if this is not for you, and this is going to be for our right hip, I want you just to take this one on your back in reclined pigeon with the right ankle over the top of the left knee or thigh. Hands around the hamstring or shin on the left leg, bringing the knee to your chest, head relaxed. For double pigeon, I'm going to have my blanket handy. And all we do, you have your right foot extended, left foot inside our right thigh, is just shift your right leg a little off the right side of your mat, and then slide your left shin parallel to the top of your mat, and then center your lower leg onto the mat. Awesome. From there, grab your right leg, cradle across your chest. And then we're going to make a very specific notch. The notch you're going to make is that the indentation on the outside of the ankle between the ankle, the heel and that that ankle bone is going to go right over the inside ridge of your left knee or thigh. And it just fits perfectly, just notches up. From there, stack your fire logs. So my sit bones shift back a little bit in space. I find the front edge, and I've got both shins parallel. With the gap that's in between my right knee and my left foot, you may not have one. I'm just gonna take the blanket, I'm gonna fold it over one more time and put it in there and just give a little bit of support. And then you can stay upright here, or pressing your hands to the ground and a little bit of length through your chest. You can also bow forward, maybe extend your fingertips out in front of you. Your right tricep, if your arms are extended, might even give a gentle press down to the top of the right foot. And then with both of your feet, we're just finding a little bit of activation. So pressing your heels out towards the walls, flexing toes gently back in towards shins. And that breath. And you might even notice if you're using your blanket that after a couple rounds of breath, you might just have a little bit less blanket in there. Let it, the knee come a little closer down towards your foot. That's what I love when we're in these poses and we're just giving the time with the breath. There's time for things to open, time for things to shift. And of course, again, just that meditative relationship, whereby focusing on inhales and exhales, you are focusing on what's happening right here, right now in your body. Present moment awareness. Nice. If you're on your back, just bring yourself back upright. And then if you're folded over, we're going to bring it back upright. Extend your legs out in front of you on your sit bones. Just give a little bit of a roll out through your ankles, some movement through the knees. And then keep your left leg extended. Bring your right foot to the inside of your left thigh. Find the front edge of your sit bones. Again, you could do the strap around the inside of the left foot. Both ends of the strap into your left hand, just out maybe like 4 or 5 inches. Or peace sign fingers of left hand, big left toe. Either way, right arm reaches back up. You're opening the wingspan towards the top corner of the back of the room. And then on an exhale, bend your left elbow and dive through the left side body, reaching the right arm forward in space. And again, we're stacking shoulder blades here. So right shoulder's over the left and your gaze is over to the right. With the right leg, it can press down and backwards as you're breathing. And with the left leg, we can have some engagement around it, heel down and forward. Find a little bit of tone around it so it's providing this base, this structure that you can then hinge forward from. And find that length through the spine, through the side bodies. Again, left elbow can bend and just hover, or it can press down into the shin or inside of the calf or down to the ground. And work with the breathing. On an inhale, arms up nice and tall, lengthen the spine. And as you exhale, just take the hands through the heart center down to the floor at your sides. And then if you're on your back in Reclined Pigeon, this time it's for your left hip, so left ankle over your right thigh. And then for our double pigeon, our fire log, we're going to take the left leg a little off the left side of the mats and then bring your right leg in a little bit so that you've got your right shin parallel to the top of your mat, and then you're centering your lower leg to the sides of your mat. Grab your left leg, give a little cradle across your chest, and then make that notch. So indentation on the outside of ankle, between the ankle bone and the heel over the inside ridge of the knee or thigh. And then stack the fire logs. Find the front edge of your sit bones. You can bring that blanket in on any level, give a little bit of cushioning. Stay upright or pressing the fingers down to the floor at your sides. Lengthen your spine. And then you can fold forward and reach the arms out in front. Left tricep might give a little press down to the inside of that left, or on top of that left knee. Flexion through the feet. Heels pointing towards the walls, toes gently back to shins. We want to make sure that the left ankle is not collapsing here. We want to keep a really strong ankle because that's the fulcrum point that you are then pulling, hinging the knee down towards the foot from. And just find the breathing. If you're on your back, I want you to stay there. From double pigeon, if you're folded, bring your spine upright. And then we'll just make our way onto our backs, reaching the legs out in front of us. As you roll down onto your back, draw your knees into your chest, wrap your arms around your knees, and just give yourself a little side to side rock here. Massaging out the hips, the sacrum, and the low back. For bridge pose, feet will plant to the floor at hip bone distance. Knees are right up in space. Step the heels back in so that they're directly underneath your knees. And then press down into your triceps, leave your head relaxed, and lift your hips off the ground. Shoulder blades can come in a little bit closer, making that shelf for your heart. If there's any other variation you know of you want to use with your hands, please feel free to use it. Root down into the heels, grip through the toes, find your breath. Find one more inhale into it. And on the exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, release down into the ground. You could bring knees into chest and rock side to side, or take happy baby. Peace sign fingers to big toes or hands to edges of the feet, knees open wide. We've got the ankles stacked above the knees, the soles of the feet are shining in space. And then low back comes as close down to the ground as possible, hips as close to the ground as possible, and you just give a little side to side rock here. Staying with your breathing. And then extend your left leg all the way out in front of you. Bring your right knee up in towards your shoulder, and we'll make a twist here. So the left hand pulls your right knee down to the left. Right arm reaches to the right. Gaze goes out over the fingertips. Right shoulder is gently relaxing or pulling towards the ground. And as you breathe here, we're allowing the breath just to make its way through the twist. The inhale is the part that has to just work a little bit to get past the contortion. Then when the exhale comes, you'll feel your body release a little bit deeper. Then roll onto your back. Take the right leg flat out in front of you. Draw the left knee up towards the left shoulder, and then move into the other side of the twist. So your right hand will pull the left knee down over to the right. You move on to the outside edge of the right hip. Left arm reaches out to the left, and your gaze is just out across those fingertips. Breathing. Noticing the thoughts as they come and then just letting them go back out. Same thing with emotions. Just knowing the way that things come in waves. And as we're breathing, we're just finding the constant inside of it, just that constant state of awareness. Roll onto your back, bring your knees into your chest, just wrap your arms around your knees and give yourself a last little rock out, massaging the hips, low back, and sacrum. And then make your way into Shavasana. You could take the blanket and place it underneath your knees, over your body or back behind your head. Lengthen the legs out, weight of the feet just relax, arms relax. You can close the eyes, and you can give control of your breath just back over to the body here. So as we create stillness with the body, we invite the mind and we invite the emotions into this same place of stillness, just a bit of a deeper place of peace. So start to bring some life back to your body, moving through your fingers, moving into your toes. You could stretch your arms out overhead to a full morning stretch, rolling out the ankles and the wrists. And then turn the weight of your body onto your side into a fetal position. Curling up, drawing a couple deep rounds of breath. Friends, we'll meet up in a comfortable cross-legged position. So bring yourself upright. You can find the front edge of your sit bones. You could sit up on the edge of a prop if you want, or just have it right down to the ground. Pull the flesh away from your sit bones or take a step back to find the front edge. And then with the eyes closed, inhale to reach your arms wide and tall. And on the exhale, just bring your hands down into your heart center, thumbs back against your sternum. Friends, thank you so much for letting me lead you through your practice today. I hope you have a beautiful rest of it. The light in me greets the light in you. Namaste.